This is the People Class Podcast, the official podcast of the People Class. Show your support at patreon.com/thepeopleclass. Send us a shout out at the People Class on Twitter, and send us your feedback at thepeopleclass@gmail.com. Class is in session.
Oh, hey, I was gonna try to send you the mobile, or sorry, the desktop link too.
Oh, well, this one works just as well.
Okay, cool, awesome. Oh, wow. Hey, nice speaking to you here.
Yeah, good morning to you.
Yeah, yours going pretty well so far?
Excuse me?
Is yours going pretty well so far?
Yeah, too early for complaints on the West Coast.
Nice. Yeah, we finally got a nice cool morning. It reminds me of a West Coast summer morning before it starts getting hot around 1.
Oh, yeah. I'm out in Palm Desert, and so it gets hot around 9. So if you're not
Okay.
up before then, you don't spend a whole lot of time outside.
Oh, yeah, I get that. I get that. Ah, man. Yeah, so yeah, I don't really have too much information to share as far as what I'm covering, and how we can our conversation on how we basically apply the concept of the celebration to modern working class issues. But yeah, just feel free to add whatever you need to.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I'm excited to chat today. Juneteenth has always been something that my family has celebrated. So I'm excited that everybody else is celebrating with us.
Yeah, my only one sector of my family in particular has really embraced you know uh, African culture, pro-blackness and whatnot, and that was really my exposure to these types of celebrations. Like we would have block parties, neighborhood block parties, in celebration of Juneteenth. You know,
Yeah, I mean, that's
like
the way that we gather in communities with our neighbors who, because of redlining, look a lot like us, and have the same wants in terms of celebrating who we are and where we've come from and where we want to go.
yeah, exactly. And what's crazy is like I think the statistic is I think 47 out of the 51 states now um, recognize Juneteenth. Um, so it's pretty much it has national recognition, but very little. I want to say a total of 7 states overall even adopted adopted it as a state holiday in which state employees would like work a half day or maybe get the day off. Um, that's crazy is considering the significance behind the holiday. It was just completely just buried under everything.
Well, I think it really just points to the fact that Juneteenth is only a celebration for Black folks because white people didn't really want to end slavery. They just wanted to end free labor so that they could get money.
Hmm.
So like there hasn't been like a mainstream celebration because, when Juneteenth first became a thing, you know, that type of celebration wasn't involved in the white community. Like, Black folks weren't celebrated. So why would we celebrate the liberation of them?
Correct. Matter of fact, we were barred from public events for a long time, which is why a lot of the celebrations for Juneteenth happened within like Black church communities. Um, there's different groups and organizations out there who are still trying to fight to make this thing a nationally observed holiday. And like the Fourth of July or any other federal holiday that you normally would get off paid, um, that hasn't gained any traction really. But
Yeah,
I think now is the perfect time that for this event to make its way to the forefront, and it is.
yeah, definitely. I mean, Square, which is based in St. Louis, is having the day off for their employees from now on, and I think Twitter is as well. And I think that this really calls into to play the, I guess, white allyship and what that really looks like and what that really means. And I think what it used to be is, let's pretend like our racist, family members don't exist. At least, I'm not racist.
Mhm.
But now we're really forcing white folks to look at their past and look at, their actions and really self-reflect on why it is that Black people aren't celebrated and instead are being killed. And and so within that, I mean, how can you not celebrate the liberation of Black folks? I think it's, just it's so in your face now that you can't help but, educate yourself about it.
Exactly. And I don't want to misspeak here, but I want to say Google even announced that they were recognizing Juneteenth at their company for their employees as well. However you feel about Google, that's still a win, I would say, right?
Definitely. But then you also have to be like, well, these companies that are celebrating it, how many Black folks do they really employ? So it's like, oh, cool, we're just gonna give a
Yeah.
bunch of white people the day off. Like, not just white people, but privileged white people the day off. Like, we need, everybody to take it off. So hopefully that they are starting the trend that
Yeah,
will,
yeah.
they're the first ones to get this wave going, to really push for the celebration of, how beautiful Black people are.
hmm Yeah, and I'd just like to add to that too. Like it's very obvious that there are a lot of opportunists out there that are going to jump on the bandwagon, the pro-black bandwagon. You know what? That's a double-edged sword in itself because one, it's for obvious reasons, profit and PR and optics. But in this case, optics are very important when you have these mega corporations, these global power structures coming out in support of diversity, equality, despite their intentions or the whatever however that will affect their bottom line. It bringing so just bringing the ideas to the forefront of society, right?
Right.
Is very important. It's Bernie Sanders, because we've had Medicare for all arguments in the past. Matter of fact, and I'm going to be presenting this in a study pretty soon here, or in a class session pretty soon, on why and how the our employment got linked to healthcare. During the Clinton administration, there's a study performed because they were trying to figure out exactly what would be the best course of action um, to introduce this Medicare for all, or universal public universal system, a public option.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had these conversations before, but it took certain people to actually fight and uh, make such a impact that it's now you can't really call yourself a progressive or really a Democrat that represents the people if you are not in support of that policy, right?
Exactly. It
Yeah,
just,
so
if
that
you're
was very long-winded.
Yeah, if you're
Sorry.
against Medicare for all or a public healthcare system, then you're aligning yourself with the GOP. I mean, that's just, I mean, if you don't believe that, just the fact that you are born in this country that is supposed to be the land of the free, the home of the brave, like why isn't also like the land of healthcare? You know,
Yeah.
we have all of these resources that are just in the hands of a few while the many, suffer. And hopefully with these actions that are taking place, we'll begin to see changes and see that we can ask for more and demand more than just the acknowledgement of Black lives. We can demand real change so that
Hmm.
everybody has a chance. Like just with COVID being around, Black folks don't have access to healthcare the way that other people do. Just historically speaking, we're used for experiments, not for, figuring out how to cure things. We're figuring out like, can this be turned into a biological weapon? So just like
Hmm.
having access to healthcare would help prevent a lot of these pre-existing conditions that are in the Black community because you can get healthcare. And then, also if you feel sick, you can have somewhere to go instead of having to wait until it's too late and then you have no choice but to go to the ER because you're that sick.
Hmm. Yeah, and because of redlining, that ER, trauma center, those are usually out of the way too, right? Like those services aren't usually available in the poorer Black districts. Um, and if you have a beneficiary who is benevolent enough, I'll say, to open up one of those establishments in their communities, like in Compton, California, for instance, you had the Martin Luther King Center. I recall the entire time that place was open, they were struggling or they are struggling or fighting against budget cuts, and it's closed down a couple of times. It's been reopened. Like it's ridiculous.
Exactly. Hospitals shouldn't stay open because of somebody's good graces. Hospitals should stay open because
Exactly.
they're needed in these communities. And it's just, it's it's a it's a shame, but like I said, I'm just really hoping that, with everybody questioning themselves and their allyship, that like, this is the spark of another, wave of changes for equity.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You know what? I'm not so dismayed anymore, and because I feel like it's inevitable, right? So you look at what's happening here. The veneer has been shattered. The world sees America for what it is and its sins, and the world is rallying on our behalf, right? But not only that, in this struggle right now for racial equality, we're also in this class war, and there's a lot being revealed there as well. And we're seeing the start of the dismantling of the predatory capitalist system, not only here, but I'm seeing cracks in other places too. The UK, for instance. Yeah, people are, and not just only the UK, but just hop on Twitter, hop on Google, and you'll see you'll see these statues going down in other countries, and God, they're just standing up to corporate interests now. Like you can't unsee what's happening, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Yeah.
movement is coming. And I think that, just like you're talking about the spread of these conversations and these actions. I mean, it's really, you're seeing it with Juneteenth at the helm. There's something to look forward to, and there's something to
Yes.
celebrate, and then there's something to push past. You know, a lot of these, you see a mix of celebrations, like in St. Louis. Action St. Louis is putting on a march, and then I've seen just on Facebook, like people doing their own block parties in their own neighborhoods. So
Oh, that's great.
people are figuring out, whether they want to educate themselves, whether they want to be amongst community, where they want to be just with their family. And there's just a wealth of options now, not really a wealth, but, compared to what there used to be, the media attention is allowing people to find the type of celebration that they want to participate in.
Hmm.
Like,
And you kind of have to, like, it's sort of forced to the surface, right? Things have been bubbling so long, it's you can't ignore it.
exactly. It's I know that, at the Who Are We movement, we've been discussing, what type of action, what does celebration look like? And I think that,
Hmm.
we are in the time that you can celebrate however you want to celebrate. There are, um, like I said, there are options, and even in this time of COVID, there are, I know that folks are doing, like, social distancing celebrations, and,
Hmm.
and marches, so, just spreading the gamut, which is very inspiring. And then what is also inspiring is that I'm seeing a lot of support from white-led organizations instead of um, leading, which is exactly what we need. Is we need the
Yes.
white folks to come to the rally. We don't need y'all to lead the rally.
Yeah. You know what? We love you, our white allies, and we thank you for the support. And that's not to minimize your part in the struggle. You guys can definitely take the lead in the places where we don't have a seat at the table, right? Business, government, local government, state government, federal level government. These are places where you have a better platform and more influence. So just please help us get these progressive candidates placed in our key governing positions. That's where you can definitely take charge because that's who's controlling that system anyway, right? Don't want to get too far off topic here. But so let's do this. So we will definitely hop into ways that you can celebrate Juneteenth. But let's start off with a little history and just a brief overview of Juneteenth here. Now, I want to invite everyone listening to go to www.juneteenth.com. That is www.juneteenth.com. There is a dedicated website for this. Okay. Once again, this is a very um, integral part of American history. So, what is Juneteenth? All right.
Yeah.
Oh, I also, you know what? I'm also going to place a link to the page there, how to celebrate specifically. Okay. So that link will be available wherever you can listen to this podcast. I want to remind everyone that this is a episode of the Quad recorded from Freedom University. That's FU to the corrupt politicians out there. And it's a sprawling campus that it encompasses the whole United States. So welcome to class.
Welcome to class.
All right, so Juneteenth, June 19th, 1865. Um, the announcement was made in Galveston, Texas, and this is the announcement once again. Hey, the Emancipation Proclamation has been mandated, and the creed has been set forth. Hey guys, you're 2 years behind. Um, maybe you need to catch up. So, Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day, Jubilee Day, and Cell Liberation Day, and I've been referring to it as Liberation Day, and I mean that in so many different facets, right? And we'll get into that. So we'll refer to it as Liberation Day or Jubilee moving forward, or at least I will. Um, so yeah, what is this about the date? The Emancipation Proclamation was mandated in 1863. Well, Texas was one of the most remote states in the Confederacy, and as we know, is one of the biggest states in our union. Therefore, a lot of the fighting didn't happen in Texas. It didn't spread in that direction. And a lot of Union troops didn't have a strong presence in Texas as well. So there was no one to actually enforce the application of the Emancipation Proclamation. So, someone came and checked in down here in Texas and said, "Hey, you guys should do this." The president has uh, stated, this that the blacks are free, let them go. Um, and just alone here in Texas, that contributed to some 250,000 black men and women and children being liberated from slavery. How crazy is that, huh, Chris?
That's ridiculous. 250,000 folks that had been free for 2 years.
Yeah, right. Just because, hey, we're no nobody's enforcing this here, we can get away for it as long as we can, right?
Exactly.
That's crazy. The
Well, it just shows you who was in
uh
power in Texas, pro-slavery people, they had the news, they just didn't disperse it.
exactly, and just capitalized on it. Just we're going to ignore this, and I'm sure the idea too was don't tread on us, and pride from a dead hand sort of mentality.
Well,
Um,
yeah, who wants to give up free labor?
right? Free labor, 100% profit. Oh my, uh, the building of an empire. Yeah, I understand what we're fighting, folks. Here, I can see why Bernie Sanders may have, taken a back seat and capitulated in ways that we couldn't imagine right now. But understand the stakes here, right?
Yeah.
But getting back to Juneteenth. So, as I explained earlier, it was first adopted and really recognized and celebrated amongst the Black church communities because African Americans were not they were barred from celebrating the event in public spaces. Nobody wanted to have that rubbed in their faces when it comes to the white elites of the country. Um, Eventually, the celebration was commercialized for a bit in between the 1920s and 1930s. Once again, as of right now, only 47 states in our union actually recognize it as a state holiday. Does not mean, once again, that it's observed. Only about 7 or 8 of them actually observe Juneteenth. Um, we need to do something about
We
that. We need a
we
campaign, right?
definitely do. It's time. Like we need to celebrate. It's time to celebrate the beauty of Black people. We it's time to celebrate as a not just for the culture. I mean, how exciting is it that we are already in the streets? We have already started to change the narrative.
Mhm.
And this is an exciting time. We need to celebrate, and why not this be the time to push for everybody to celebrate Juneteenth? And not even and to just have knowledge about it. Just to know, like, yes, there is a date. Like we all know the day that like Jesus was born. We all know the day that the resurrection happened. We all know,
Mhm.
when Ash Wednesday is. We know when Columbus Day is celebrated, which is now Indigenous Peoples Day in some
Mhm.
circles. And it's just we have a month, so why not have something else to
The
look forward to?
shortest
Yes, the
month.
shortest month. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, we need Black celebration throughout the year. We don't need to just celebrate it for 25, 20, 28 days.
Yeah, 28 days, and I'm sure they said, "Hey, Negroes, every 4 years you get an extra day."
Hey,
So
look at that. See, we gave you something.
something, yeah, we can take one more. We don't have American month, right? We don't have Caucasian month. Um, we have the Fourth of July celebrating independence, right, from Britain, right, and from tyrannical forces. Why can't we recognize that for blacks as well? Right? It was another well, the actual Independence Day was, announced in 1863. So can we get this one,
Yeah,
please? We were exploited for 2 years longer in that regard. Can we
I
get
think
this
we
one?
can. I think we can. But yeah, I mean, you said that you celebrated growing up with block parties. I mean, can you just
Hmm.
describe what that felt like, just to be amongst community to celebrate yourself?
Yeah, honestly, here, and I'll preface it with this. I'm going to preface it with this, just a little more information on Juneteenth and how it's been celebrated historically. So, really quick, I just want to bring up an article here by Janice Hume and Noah. I'm going to butcher this name, Arsenault, I believe. Um, Authors of Glittering Dust, Dormant Treasure, Press, Public Memory, and Georgia's Forgotten Gold Rush. This is a 2013 article written by these two. And in it, they bring up the topic of Juneteenth and suggest that the activities performed in celebration of Jubilee, Juneteenth, um, quote, served to assimilate African American memories within the dominant American story, end quote. Okay, so these celebrations included things like rodeos, fishing, baseball game, street fairs. These are all American, as American as apple pie
Right.
activities, right? Um, Cookouts, family reunions, park parties, historical reenactments of the reading of the Emancipation Proclamation. There's Miss Juneteenth contests that are celebrating the beauty of our women. Um, the and I also want to know too, there's some Spanish cultures that have mixed with Africans, obviously due to slavery and are spread across the country, or excuse me, across the world. The Muskogos, the descendants of Black Seminoles of Coahuila, Mexico, also celebrate Juneteenth, and our Caribbean people also do as well. Now, getting back to how I celebrated as a child. And in particular, there was once again one sector of my family who did this, and they were in a more upscale, college educated. Even white collar, professionals, as far as the black community goes. But what this community did do is they did embrace our heritage. They embraced our successes. We've always been financially successful. We had Black Wall Street. Our financial successes were always sabotaged by the white corporate elites. But I'm not sure how they would do it. I don't know if it was through any connections with the LAPD, which my cousin's father retired from. But we set up barricades on the block. There was absolutely no car traffic through there. There were tables laid out the entire length of the block with food and drinks and snacks, and we had stereo systems set up that the music boomed all over the neighborhood. Kids were out on their bikes and skateboards and playing basketball and playing video games and then swimming pool, you name it. It was like the 4th of July. I don't remember necessarily using like fireworks. We may have on some occasions, but it was just a beautiful summer celebration, right? And just blacks and even our lighter complected brethren and sisters participated in these too. It's just love and community, and they're some of the fondest memories I have growing up. How about yourself?
Well, just excuse me. Yeah, the same thing, celebrated amongst community. One thing about my family is, excuse me, we have ties to Allensworth, California, which was an all black settlement. Excuse me, sorry.
Hmm. I think this was part of the second migration in the 50s.
Actually, both in the early 1900s. Um, yeah, so
Okay,
this
okay. So the first,
yeah, so
okay.
Allensworth was um, an all black settlement that it was. Do you know where Bakersfield is? Yeah,
Oh,
so
absolutely, yes.
yeah,
Driven through
so
it
it's
multiple
just
times.
outside of Bakersfield, and it was Colonel Allensworth and four of and three other of his,
Hey,
yes,
Chris, I'm sorry. Can I interrupt you? So you know the climate of
yes.
Bakersfield, right? I know the Bakersfield. For the listeners who don't know the climate of Bakersfield, Bakersfield is a very hot location, pretty barren. It's mostly used for farming cattle, so it doesn't really smell particularly good when you're driving through there as well. So this is just to highlight the example of where we were forced to settle once we, escaped slavery and started assimilating with the rest of the American culture. We were pushed into the most undesirable locations that could be found. So I'll
Yeah,
let you
no,
get back to
thank
your
you
point.
for that. Yeah, so that exactly touches to exactly how Allensworth came to end is as you mentioned before with Black Wall Street. Anytime African Americans and Black communities thrive, white folks find a way to take it away from us, and that's exactly what happened in Allensworth. Is they had bought the land, and with the intention that the landowners would divert water to the settlement, and that never happened. And
Mm,
so, with the climate of Bakersfield, if you don't have water access, it's hard to live there. But what happened
mhm,
after it, after the town dispersed, is in the 1970s. One of the descendants made an initiative to get it to be a state park, and so now Allensworth State Park is where I celebrated Juneteenth because it is, and the location is an embodiment of the freedom of Black people, because once we were truly liberated,
mhm.
we were able to create these spaces where we could thrive and be amongst community, be amongst people who wanted us to have success. And just going back there and having the history of my family just be celebrated and the history of Black folks be celebrated. I think things like that need to be spread. People need to know that Tulsa
Yes.
wasn't the only Black community that thrived. Allensworth existed. What else,
Mm.
what other communities are we not talking about? And I think, and
Oh, the islands off of North Carolina. That was a tragedy there. I'll speak on that in future sessions. But yeah, so once the slaves in that part of the islands were pretty much filled with plantations at the time, obviously. Once the slaves got their emancipation or their liberation, the slave owners left those islands, right, off of the coast of North Carolina. There were some organizations who put enough pressure on the government to allow the blacks who were on that plantation to claim the land as their own. They did. They rebuilt it. It was, so that it was habitable. They built successful businesses and things there. And then once that happened, the government came back and reneged on that agreement and took that back from them.
mhm,
Happens all the time. And I'm sorry to interject. There's so many
exactly.
examples of this. Um, it's ridiculous, and just you're not taught this in college. You have to study African American
Or you have to
culture.
be born into a family that was a part of it. It has to be a
Yes.
part of your personal history, and it needs to be a part of general history. And I think that you know those types of celebrations of Juneteenth need to happen to celebrate what we have done. We had these thriving communities,
Hmm.
and what steps do we need to take to get back to that? What can we do now
Yeah.
to put things in place so that we can have that type of success within the Black community again.
Hmm. And hey, I also want to kind of highlight on another point you brought up in your anecdote there about the park, right? The
Mm-hmm.
state park. So the same thing happened here, Emancipation Park. This is a historic state park now that once again it's a state park, right? And what does that mean? It's available, it's open to the public, right? Um, that inheritor of Allen could have petitioned again to just take that
Mm-hmm.
community over, right, and just rebuild from there and promote. This is a pro-black community. Leave us alone. They could have walled it off if they wanted to, but they could have reestablished something specifically to take care of um, the Black community. What did they do? They gave that land or or petitioned to set aside that land for all to
Right.
enjoy, right? Like what? This is just an example of like the sort of love and compassion, and the generosity of Black folks in this country who have been nothing but mistreated and oppressed. And through all of that, we're not spreading anti-whiteness, and we're not spreading white hate. We're in our actions, through our music, through our culture, through actions like that, right? Hey, let's claim this. Can we just say that this is significant, please? But let's claim this as a public space to recognize this, that anybody and everybody can enjoy. Like, come on,
That is
that's
so true.
beautiful.
And, and the thing is, everybody does enjoy it. I mean, Bakersfield, like you said, is a not a great climate to be in. It is always hot there. But I do remember,
Hmm.
it wasn't always all Black folks at Juneteenth, or when I would go back and visit, the state park. I did see white folks, and some Latinos and other folks of color. They weren't ever the majority,
Hmm.
which I think is fantastic. I think that it should be a predominantly Black space, but it was just they were welcome. They were, like you said, that whenever we have
Yes.
have anything, we allow everyone to enjoy it and participate from it and learn from it. We are an open people who
Hmm.
understand that community isn't just the people that you live with. Community are the people that you interact with, that you support on a daily basis. I mean, we say it takes a village to raise a child, and
Hmm.
we mean that. And as the village, we take
Yes.
responsibility in each other's children and each other's children's upbringings, and making sure that we are spreading, good values. How many times were you disciplined by someone that wasn't
Mhm.
actually your family growing up?
Oh my God. Yes. You know what? And I don't know if I'm 35. I don't know if I was specifically part of the last generation that grew up like this, but this is one of the biggest tragedies of um, the way the system breaks up Black communities and and Black families, either through prison systems
Hmm.
or whatever, right? Or just completely just destroying their communities where it's inhabitable. Um, Yes, I fondly remember as a child in where I grew up, the hood, the ghetto in Watts, California. Um, on my block, yes, a lot of Black families. As far as the eye can see, there are Mexicans there as well. But you know what? We had the safety, we had the security. All of the kids could go out and play outside, and it didn't matter what block you were on. If you did something
Oh,
wrong, it
yes.
was getting back home, and you were going to get spanked by the neighbor, and you were get,
Hmm.
who had permission to do so from your parents, and you were going to get spanked by your parents as well. But everybody knew where you were at, what you were doing. You were truly safe. That just the whole gang violence thing, it happened, but it wasn't like this big epidemic like people want to
Right.
make out the hood being back then, in the 80s and 90s. It just, there was a lot of love, there was a lot of accountability, and yes, there was a lot of teaching. And once again, I'm going to reiterate, none of our families in any way, shape, or form ever taught any anti-whiteness uh, or anti-white rhetoric
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
white
Because
hate ever.
pro-Black does
But
not
yeah,
mean anti-white.
no, it doesn't. It means, hey, can we be on the same level, please?
Exactly. Let's
You
all
know,
celebrate
we
Juneteenth
we've been
together.
connected for so long. Yes, and so Juneteenth has so much more significance to, um, other than just to the Black community. The reason why people come to this country historically always have was to escape religious, political, um, racial, sexual orientation, persecution and oppression, however humans have learned to keep other people down. Um, People have come to America to escape that. America was supposed to be their land of freedom, their land of liberation from that. And you come here, you do see the reality, but Juneteenth can be recognized as a
Yes.
liberation day for all,
Yes.
period. And the majority of all now seems to be brown people, right? Um, so yeah, this is a celebration for everyone, everybody. Um, we need to actually, and we've already laid the groundwork. So I'm hearing right now on some of my independent news media sources that some of these protests, right, where especially where the police have been run out of town, have turned into more like they're saying quote they're like scenes from like Coachella. They're watching movies, they're playing music, they're social distancing, you know, as well. But they're turning into more
Right.
celebrations, right? And this is so, oh man, this is so in the spirit of the American people, especially the disenfranchised. Like, you know, I said earlier that we don't need trillions of dollars of tanks and planes and ammunition and guns to win a war,
Right.
and we've proven that, right? Nobody again can tell us and really with conviction and believe in their heart that we need to continue spending as much as we do on our military. Um, through the spirit of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Mahatma Gandhi, the Mahatma Gandhi, nonviolent protests has always beat out swords and bullets when it comes down to it, because those are resources you can run out of eventually. Production can slow down. You can destroy those factories, but you can't destroy the spirit
That
of
is
people.
true.
You
The
know?
spirit
Yeah,
outlives the goods any day.
yeah, the ideology that formed this country. And it's sad that we're in this state because, and I implore everybody listening, check out Michael Moore's Where to Invade Next. It's an excellent example. That is a gift for us to see just how other societies outside of this country have been doing it right. And what's sad about it is when he asked those people, how is it that they made their government work for their people and promote equality and social justice, the majority of the answers were, we based our government off of your constitution, right? It's like it works. It just needs people to actually um, steer it in that direction, right? Not take advantage of it like they have been.
Yeah. No, I mean that is so true. It's just I mean, sorry. Yeah.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're absolutely fine. No, but yeah, it's just wow. Just it's the bearing of this celebration of this day is a disservice to everyone. Once again, not just Black folks. So really quick, I just want to put out a couple of links here, or a link here. You guys can check out the Miss Juneteenth or the San Antonio Miss Juneteenth pageant. There's a link here. Excuse me, Juneteenth pageantsa.com. That's something that does happen annually. I did check the site. I didn't see much happening this year, possibly because of COVID, but let's continue to celebrate that and Black beauty or Black women. And I eventually guess that's going to open up to our trans
Oh
communities as
yes.
well. And I hope it does. And, yeah, this idea of Black is beautiful. Remember, we fought against that. We needed a campaign to remind people that Black is not ugly. It's just as pretty as our porcelain brothers up there. Um, so really quick, just getting back to some of the celebrations and some of the key sort of tenets of Juneteenth. Um, and I want to be respectful of your time here, Chris. So, public readings, once again, of the Emancipation Proclamation, excerpts of works by prominent Black writers, such as the President's Medal and France State Medal recipient Ralph Ellison, who authored Invisible Man, and civil rights activists such as Maya Angelou, right? She penned the famous I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings and Still I Rise. Still I Rise is probably one of the most famous and recognizable poems
I
in
would
the Black
definitely
community.
agree.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard that since, well, forever. I can, in my memory banks, I can at least remember back to like third grade in our black public school. Yeah, every Black History Month. That we read it, we watched the enactments of it, and yeah. Um, so other ways that the history is celebrated too, singing Negro spirituals like "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot," "Lift Every Voice and Sing," and most recently added to the repertoire after the 1960s civil rights movement,
Mhm.
"We Shall Overcome." Right. So these are songs that we should be playing right now in celebration. Um, yeah,
Yeah, Lift Every
blast
Voice
them in
and
your
Sing is the
community.
Negro national anthem. I mean, I grew up in a community that celebrated that. Like I went to in like an external education that was, specifically for Black folks, and we started each session as a community singing that, you know, you know, and
Hmm.
the beauty of it was, since it was like an education thing, is each month a different student would get up and lead and have, just like singing it amongst community is so powerful, but to lead your community in singing that,
Yes.
and to be a child, to know that you have the attention of your elders and your your family, is just, it's so empowering. So yes, we need to be blasting these, these are the songs that should continue to be leading these movements.
Hmm. That's beautiful. Yeah, the only time I really recall doing it, say outside of my family unit, in like the block parties, we sang it during Black History Month in my elementary school. We would put on little plays and productions, right? And classes. I remember singing that in with the rest of my class members.
Yeah,
Yeah, beautiful stuff. Like there's so much culture amongst the Black community that America has just been deprived of, and yeah, it's high time that we remind people what that is.
exactly. I mean, we're the
Um,
soul of
so
America.
hey, yes, blues, soul food, which has become a Southern staple. That is what they are proud for. We got Paula Dean and so many other Barefoot Contessas and things out there, people out there. This is Black
Exactly.
culture,
You
folks.
gotta understand where it really came from, because I mean, at the end of the day, everything originates from Black culture. I mean, people take,
Mm.
not everything, but a lot of things have been
So
taken
much.
from the Black community and co-opted into, different things. Like, people don't know that Friends is based off of living single. People are like, "Ooh, Friends is the best." Like, okay, cool. You take your Rachel, and I'll take my Khadijah. Thank you. you know,
Yeah, actually, they seem to treat each other a little better on Living Single as well. Those guys on Friends are sociopaths. The girlfriend is a big fan of that show, and so she's
mm-hmm.
recently binge watched it again. And I show, but I had friends in high school who just they idolize that show.
It's
Watching that show right
cringeworthy. Yeah,
now, um, did that last so many seasons? Like people don't treat their friends that way.
yeah,
It's, individualism is that kind of the hidden context behind the show? I don't know. I'm speculating on things
yeah.
now, but yeah. Hey, but yeah, you bring up such a good point. Family Matters. Why was that? Why did that have such an impact on pop culture? You had you're hanging with Mr. Cooper,
Sister, sister.
um, sister. Yeah, I love that show as a kid. That just the I'm, I'm sorry, I'm
Oh,
gonna say it, but the Bill
yeah.
Cosby
I mean,
Show, despite the mayor,
everybody wanted to be
despite
with one of the Cosbys.
that yes, just oh my God, the embrace of African culture that show brought to the mainstream. Just yeah, amazing. They're
Yeah,
beloved for a reason. Like like those are unfortunately, those are some of the shows that unfortunately will share space with Archie Bunker in the Smithsonian. But you know, excuse me, we're always going to have that. But yeah, just God, Juneteenth, guys, Juneteenth. We need a national push to take the day off, celebrate it just like the 4th of July. I'm not saying to commoditize it like mattress sales and red tent sale or
Yes, we
whatever they
need
have. You know, we always have those.
to take the money
Lincoln
out of the Black
birthday
community.
sale.
We need to invest it into the Black community by having community events.
Correct. And yeah, please, guys, this is not a call to have a George Floyd mattress sale. Please, let's
Mm-mm.
not see that. Let's not
Nope.
dishonor him for capitalism. Okay. That goes completely against the whole purpose of this fight and this day. Um, red drink, right? Red drink. Hey, what's your timeline like right now, Chris? Because I don't want to be, I'm fine, but I don't want
Yeah,
to
no,
go over.
I've got
And
a little bit more time. We can let's talk about this red drink. I
okay, cool.
love I love strawberry
Let's
soda.
talk about some red. Hey, so yeah, strawberry soda is sort of coined the official drink, right? And that's as of that's within American culture. And I'll give you just a little back history on red drink, red food, and how that's celebrated amongst the Black culture, specifically West Africa. But I recall, and it's so Kool-Aid, right? It's as black, as black as as black as apple pie is to America. Kool-Aid, red drink. You walk into any soul food restaurant in America, and you will see red drink on the menu. Sometimes it's red Kool-Aid. I've seen more red drink more than anything because the what it is specifically is not
Exactly.
uh, significant. It's specifically the color of the drink, so it could be different things. So why the red drinks? It was a tradition that was migrated from West Africa, right? This is where the slave trade started, West Africa, and in West Africa, uh, hibiscus, hibiscus leaves, and the cola nut tree are indigenous there. So for I'll break those down a little bit here. So with the slave trade, that being the epicenter, naturally those resources moved along with the slaves, right? They I'm sure some stuck them in their pockets, or well, if they could, or some had a way to bring them onto the ships, and those who were enslaving them, I'm sure, took them and helped spread them around the country and around the world. Um, Jamaica is we know hibiscus tea, right, as Jamaica water, or the Mexican, excuse me, the Mexican cultures or the Latinx cultures call it Jamaica, right? That's what that is. This Jamaica, which my introduction to it, honestly, here being American born, was in Mexican food restaurants. Going to get tacos. That's the only place I really saw Jamaica being um, a drink option to me. But in their soul food restaurants here, you buy, we fry fish fries. Yeah, red drink. And I never really understood the meaning behind it, but that's why. Red drink, red food, and West African culture are used to signify celebration. They signify specifically hospitality, right? Some more love that Black culture injects into American
That
society.
exactly plays into your point about how we are so giving as people. Like hospitality is the basis of our celebration. Hospitality means we accept you into our community and want you to celebrate with us. It's like when if we offer you red drink, that means you are in the family. You are a part of the culture, and that means if you're gonna take a
Mhm.
sip of that, you better know that brings you into the community. So we look out for you, and you look out for us.
Yes. Hey, and you know what? I didn't know this fact here until I was a big follower of Anthony Bourdain,
Hmm.
the travel host and chef. Rest in peace. I love that man. Um, how beautiful is this? Is not going to seem very nice right now in the age of COVID and kind of the way we treat our personal space here in America, right? Obviously, other cultures don't treat their personal space as much as stringently. You see it, in the Asian cultures. They don't mind packing up like sardines. Um, the West Africans have this culture, or they have this practice, right? If you are eating together at the same table, and it doesn't matter if you're eating with your hands or, you can be hygienic, quote unquote, and use a fork. But if you're sharing or breaking bread at a table with people in Africa and they have embraced you and have accepted you into their fold, right? That hospitality we're speaking of, it is a custom there for them to grab food off of their plate, place it within their hands, and put it to your lips to offer it to you, right? And it is considered disrespectful, right, or hurtful if you turn that down. So how beautiful is that? How more intimate can you get with someone
Right.
other than mother and child, right? To have someone to feed you, right, in acceptance, in love, and
And it's
hospitality. We
not
don't do that here.
a sign of like infantilism. It's a sign of respect. Like
No, it's
the
a sign of
servant leader is
respect.
such a big thing within business culture, and that is the embodiment of the servant leader is, you can't lead if you aren't willing to serve your people, like, do you see Donald Trump out here giving anybody anything? Remember when he had that team there and he just gave them McDonald's? Like, this is, the difference of the culture. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
cheapest
yeah.
option
So
you
yeah,
can do.
how respectful is that? Black people are amazing, and
Yeah, hey, I'm just gonna say it. I mean, when it comes to humans, right, our species, are orifices that provide some sort of entry that others can possibly use. Use your imagination. You know what I'm talking about. All of those are considered very intimate spaces. Like just, oh my God,
right.
somebody feeding you, right? Just wow, that's without sexualizing it, that's probably one of the most intimate things you could do with a person, you know, like the mouth. This is why kisses are such a benefit or signify love relationships as opposed to your other acquaintances and whatnot, right? Um, you wouldn't necessarily kiss your work acquaintance on your lips, but your family, yes, or your boyfriend or girlfriend, you know. Um, yeah, that's powerful. I think like yeah, just our culture is so full of love and giving and benevolence, and to still be able to embrace that and not abandon that and never get jaded over 400 years total of oppression and 250 plus years here in the United States. That is such
we
a testament
we
to our
are the
spirit,
people that
you
keep
know.
on giving.
Like, yeah, I'm sorry if I'm rambling, guys, but just understand the culture that this country has been missing for so long. And there's so much, we've been so dehumanized, and there's so much hate, there's so much scapegoating, there's so much blame shifting. It's the immigrants taking our jobs, it's affirmative action. So the blacks are taking our jobs, it's the Muslims, you name it. Like, underneath all of this, buried under the rug, as blacks have been forever, is this culture, this community, this ideology of just love, and we missed out on that. And it's amazing. It doesn't even really amaze me too much because look at those champions, the ones who have gone out and have spread the message of love, save our Cornell West, right? I'm so glad that nobody's attacked that man. Martin
Yeah.
Luther King, what was his message? Love each other, right? Um, John Lennon, love each other. Some crazed fan, I'll say an agent more than likely, kills him. Malcolm X, love each other. What they do, kill him. Um, Gandhi, like you could just keep going and going on and on. Like they don't like we're anti-love, right?
Exactly. It takes
Capitalism makes
away
us anti-love,
any sort of
anti-human, empathetic.
humanity we have for each other, and it prioritizes
Hmm.
competition over compassion.
Yeah, it does. It's such an ugly, insidious, infectious disease on human society, and like no, no society should ever embrace capitalism in this form ever again. So I'm sorry, my little sidebar. Um, but just going back to, hey, if you want a breakdown of different types of drinks and the significance of red pop or red drink or strawberry soda and its use in celebration of Juneteenth, guys, I will go ahead and provide a link to. This is Dan Wollert, the food etymologist. It's a WordPress article. I'll have the link available once again wherever you can listen to this podcast. So check that out as well. As far as facts I have to share for Juneteenth, um, that's all I have for the time being. As far as celebrating, you guys have so many different examples of ways to do it. Right now, I'm going to ask, because the groundwork has already been laid. Let's spread this idea. Let's try to get in touch with our city councils, maybe our mayors or governors, even. It would be beautiful if someone could get to the mayor of DC and have her host a block party right on top of the street where Black Lives Matter is painted in bright yellow and can be seen from space. Hold a Juneteenth block party celebration there in front of the White House. That would be great. But let's try to celebrate. It's a passive way to protest. You just call out for the day. Don't go to work. Stay home. Use your sick time if you have it. Use your vacation time if you have it. Let's recognize our liberation from corporate oligarchy and corporate overlords. Excuse me. Let's take this time to honor the dead, celebrate George Floyd. Let's make it a vigil day. Let's take this day to commemorate all of the Black bodies that have been sacrificed, right, for us to be able to have this moment. Let's drink our red drink to commemorate the blood that has been shed here in America, and to commemorate the hospitality that that is the foundation, the hospitality and love that embodies Africans and African Americans. Um, Barbecue, social distance, binge watch your favorite show, order your favorite food, whatever. Just take. If you still have some fireworks left over from 4th of July, or you got some in preparation of, go ahead and use them now. Um, I'm calling it, hey, let's just do this. Let's just take a day off. We need more vacations anyway in the US.
I'm
Why not
a
this one?
big proponent of that.
Right?
Rest is such a radical thing. So take the day off and do whatever you
It
want to
is.
do. Rest your soul, rest your body. We all need it. Figure out a way to re-energize and reinvigorate yourself, because this
Yes.
fight is going to be a long fight. We need to celebrate how far we have come, and fill our souls with our community so that we can continue to fight and push forward for true equality.
Yeah, and we really need to address and kind of banish this cult of productivity that American neocapitalism has, excuse me, indoctrinated. Yeah, because ugly thing, ugly stuff. In the words of Trump, sad. Um, so, hey, Chris, we'll go ahead and start bringing things to a close here. Do you have any other announcements you want to make, or any other events, protests, or celebrations?
You can find what celebration is in your community by going to the movement for Black Lives. They are calling for a nationwide day of action. So if with this action, they're calling for Trump to resign, to defund the police, and to invest in Black communities. So you can go to Movement for Black Lives and enter your information, and they will send you the closest event to you. You could go on Facebook and search Juneteenth for your city and look for any ways to celebrate. And then there are also probably going to be some online webinars if you want to choose to educate yourself or challenge yourself with what our internal views are. So I think just another thing to reiterate is just celebrate the love of ourselves and our culture, because Black is beautiful, and like I said,
Hmm.
just because you're pro-Black doesn't mean you're anti-white or anti anything else. Juneteenth is a day to lift up our
Correct.
liberation, and however you feel like liberating yourself, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to lift you up.
Correct. Correct. And thank you for that. And yes, once again, my working class warriors. This isn't to hijack this day, but once again, we need to make this a liberation day for the entire working class, the most vulnerable in this country right now. We were abused and misused as essential workers, right? So we know who's in power now, right? Once businesses started closing, we saw who went crying to the government for a hand me down, for a handout, for some socialism. So um, one day, 24 hours. This is all we're asking here. This country, 80% of them, 80% of us. Once again, if we could just treat it like a
Mm-hmm.
national holiday, like it should have been for decades, just do that. It doesn't have to be framed negatively in any way, shape, or form. Just take this day to celebrate. We need some levity right now, right? We've witnessed so much brutality and death, right? In such a concentrated time frame, and it's been a lot on people. It was a lot for me. Like there's a reason why there's a reason why I hadn't had many new episodes going up. I had to kind of take in and observe and kind of comprehend and absorb what was happening, so that you can kind of get past the emotion of it all and get back
Exactly.
to, hey, how do we fight against this, right? Uh, yeah. So. I will want to. I do want to say for any of those. Well, I want to invite anyone and everyone listening here. If you're a Twitter follower or not, if you have a Facebook account, head to Who Are We Movement's Facebook page. Okay, um, take a look at our site, whoarewemovement.org. All right, we're trying to do some really good things for the community. We are definitely promoting. The necessities of the working class. Okay, so living wage, uh, no cost healthcare, right? Better worker protection, especially during COVID. And we also have links to mutual aid. Now, a lot of this mutual aid right now are in St. Louis and now San Antonio that are posted on this site. I implore you, please visit the website, get in contact with us, join us so that we can help spread the news. And I've already provided links to my San Antonio site from Who Are We Movement to people in my workplace who need it. Um, it's very imperative that we get the aid to our most vulnerable. This is a way to do it. Please get in contact with us. Heck, I need some people down here in San Antonio to help me represent, because I'm a lone wolf right now and trying to juggle recruiting and research and fact checking to provide you guys information weekly. With this podcast, it's a little hard to do, along with trying to network with the DSA and other organizations. So please visit our webpage, whoarewemovement.org. Um, Visit me here on Anchor FM, or excuse me, Anchor.fm, The People Class. I also am on Patreon/ People Class, and YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and various other streaming sources. So just check us out, and we implore you. We need as many working class warriors as we can in this fight against the corrupt elite. Uh, um, I'm going to say I'll humble myself and even beg. Okay, just helping out helping each other out is our only way past this because the government's not going to do it. So that is what I wanted to plug here. And
No, I
anything
think
else?
you
Any other
covered it
thoughts, Chris,
all. But
before
yeah,
we
check us out,
take off for the day?
whoarewemovement.org. It has links to all of our past public statements and to all of our socials and to get in touch with us. We would love to coalition build and build our organization. You know, we are resourcing the needs of the working class, and the way that we get more resources is by expanding our reach and expanding our community. So please join our community. Let us know how we can support each other.
Cool, cool. Hey, and really, Chris, really fast, in it, keeping, I'll say, trade secrets in mind. Are there any organizations that Who Are We Movement is
Yeah,
working with
Who
that
Are
we
We
can
Movement
kind of
is
alert our
working with
listeners to
Your
join?
Workers, My Family, which is a youth-led organization that is partnering with the National Children's Campaign to promote the the need for PPE and hazard pay for our working class essential workers. And we're also working, starting to get in communication with the United Left, which is really working on coalition building with the true progressives of of the movement. So those are just a couple that we're working with. And in terms of mutual aid, STL Mutual Aid is a big push that we are working with right now. That is, I would say, our biggest partner, and you can find them through our Who Are We Movement St. Louis page. But yeah, so yeah, we are coalition building. We are
Mhm.
pushing out there to help as many people as we can.
Who are the progressive wave starting from a little leak and now it's becoming something bigger. It's beautiful. Um, let's see. I wanted to, I was going to plug something else here, but it escaped me there. Hey guys, visit the site, visit it often. Oh yeah, I was going to say also for sure, definitely get in contact with us and if you can, maybe help us. And we need bail relief. We need a lot of bail relief. There's a lot of people who have been arrested during these protests, and as you know, the most vulnerable, the poor working class, are usually held because they can't pay for their freedom until trial, if there is a trial. So bail relief, guys, if you can. The peopleclass at gmail.com, Twitter, hit us, who are we movement.org, hit us up where you can. Okay. Bell aid and, excuse me, food. Okay. Those are critical items, at the moment. So that's all I have, Chris. I want to thank you for spending some time with us and being another beautiful Black American voice that can come and help share some history on our beautiful, loving culture. I just want to thank you for what you're doing with Who Are We Movement. I want to thank you for just being there, right? Just being there, being a voice
Great. Yeah.
for
No,
those
I
who
really
were
appreciate
too
being
afraid
able
to or
to
can't.
join you on the show. And, I look forward to more conversations.
All right, for sure. Hey guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. I'm going to let you go and start planning what you're going to do this Juneteenth. Um, hey, let me know if you're taking it off. Send me a message here through Anchor. You can leave me a voice message. Send me an email. But please, hey, take a day off. Enjoy it. Drink some brews. Drink some red drink. Um, eat some barbecue. Watch some movies. Play some games. Whatever you do, just have fun that day. And we kill two birds with one stone. So thank you for listening in. This has been the Quad for June 13th, 2020, brought to you from the sprawling campus of Freedom University. Freedom University, or FU, the corrupt politicians out there, representing for Who Are We movement. Um, this is the Dean. And
Thank you for tuning in to another session of the People Class Podcast, the official podcast of the People Class. I hope you found the information shared in today's session enlightening, or at the very least, raise some questions. I extend an invitation to join us for more weekly sessions. And remember, our work does not stop here. Get active, organize, and take control over your destiny as an American working class person. Class dismissed.